My name is Emily Harper. I'm 34, and I live in a world of clay and quiet moments, far from the empire my mother built. Picture a small studio in Asheville, North Carolina, where sunlight spills through wide windows, warming shelves lined with hand-thrown vases and bowls. The air smells of damp earth, and the soft whir of a pottery wheel hums like a heartbeat. This is my sanctuary, where I teach kids to shape their dreams into something they can hold. It's a simple life, one I've chosen with every fiber of my being. But it's a life that stands in stark contrast to the one I was born into, a world of wealth, power, and a legacy that never felt like mine. I'm the forgotten daughter of Catherine Harper, the woman who turned Harper Innovations into a cybersecurity giant. And this is the story of how a single phone unlocked a truth I never expected. Growing up in Palo Alto, California, I was one half of a twin equation, forever linked to my sister Olivia, but never quite her equal. We shared a birthday, a home, and a mother whose ambition cast a shadow over us both. But where Olivia thrived in that shadow, I sought the light elsewhere. Our mother, Catherine, was a titan, a woman who built Harper Innovations from a single laptop and a fire in her soul. Her software protected banks, hospitals, even the Pentagon. By the time we were 10, she was worth over $1 billion. Her name synonymous with innovation and ruthlessness. Her mantra, never show weakness, wasn't just a saying, it was the air we breathed in our 30-room mansion, a place of polished marble and glass that felt more like a fortress than a home. Olivia was Mom's mirror, absorbing every lesson in strategy and power. At 16, she was drafting proposals for Harper Innovations, her eyes gleaming with the same intensity as Mom's. I was different. I found solace in art, in the way clay yielded under my hands, in the quiet magic of creating something beautiful from nothing. But to Mom, my passion was a distraction, a flaw in the Harper blueprint. I remember our 6th birthday, the last we celebrated together. Olivia got a tailored blazer, a miniature version of Mom's executive wear, and a tablet loaded with simplified Harper software. I got a set of paints and clay, gifts Mom relegated to the playroom with a stern warning. Asterisk. Don't make a mess in the main house. Asterisk. She'd look at Olivia and say, asterisk. Business is in your blood. Asterisk. Then she'd turn to me, her gaze heavy with disappointment, as if my love for art made me defective. Our father, Thomas Harper, was the warmth Mom seemed to lose after his death. He died of a heart attack when Olivia and I were 4, leaving a void that Mom filled with work. I have hazy memories of him sketching with me, his gentle laugh as he traced shapes in the air. Asterisk. You see the world differently, Emily. Asterisk, he'd say, his hazel eyes sparkling. Without him, Mom's intensity grew sharper, her focus narrower. The mansion became a shrine to Harper Innovations, its walls lined with awards instead of family photos. I retreated deeper into my art, sculpting bowls and figures that told stories Mom never cared to hear. By high school, the divide between Olivia and me was a chasm. She interned at Harper Innovations, her name already whispered in boardrooms. I was winning ceramics competitions, my work displayed in Asheville galleries and even a small show in Charlotte. But Mom never came. Asterisk. Art's a hobby, Emily. Asterisk, she'd say, her voice cutting like glass. Asterisk. The Harper name stands for progress, not pottery. Asterisk. Those words echoed in my head, each one a reminder that I didn't belong in her world. I kept creating, though, finding peace in the rhythm of the wheel, the way clay held my hopes and hurts. The final break came after college. I'd earned a spot in a ceramics program in Florence, Italy, a dream I'd worked years for. Olivia was stepping into a junior executive role at Harper Innovations. Mom called me to the dining room, the same table where she'd closed billion-dollar deals, and slid a job offer across a marketing role, a token position at Harper Innovations. Asterisk. You're a Harper. Asterisk, she said, her voice cold. Asterisk. It's time you acted like one. Asterisk, I pushed back, my heart pounding. Asterisk. I am a Harper, Mom. I'm chasing excellence in my field, just like you did. Asterisk. Her response was a blade. Asterisk. Shaping clay isn't a field. It's a childish indulgence. Asterisk. The argument spiraled until I said what I'd held back for years. Asterisk. Maybe I don't want your success if it means becoming someone like you. Asterisk. The silence was deafening, heavier than the chandelier above us. Mom's face hardened, her eyes, those of a CEO, crushing a rival. Asterisk. Then perhaps you don't want to be a Harper at all. Asterisk. That night, I packed my car with what little I needed and drove away. For 12 years, I built a life in Asheville. I earned my teaching credentials, rented a one-bedroom apartment with creaky floors and a view of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and started a pottery workshop for at-risk kids. Those kids, with their raw talent and guarded hearts, became my family. They didn't know their Miss Harper was tied to a tech fortune, and I preferred it that way. In Asheville, I found purpose. My workshop wasn't just about clay, it was about giving kids a place to feel seen, to create something that was theirs. I'd watch a shy teenager transform as they shaped their first bowl, their hands steadying with confidence. Those moments were my wealth, worth more than any stock portfolio. But the past never fully let go. Mom called once, 3 years ago, after a local paper featured my program for underprivileged schools. Asterisk. You could be running Harper Innovations Charitable Foundation. Asterisk, she said. No hello, no warmth. Asterisk. You're wasting your potential. Asterisk, I hung up, my chest tight with the familiar sting of rejection. Then, last month, my phone rang. It was Olivia, her voice as polished as ever. Asterisk. Mother's been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Stage 4, 6 weeks, maybe less. She's asking for family. Asterisk, the word family felt like a contract clause, but I couldn't ignore it. Despite the years, the hurt, the distance, I couldn't let Mom die without a goodbye. I requested leave from my school, packed a bag, and drove across the country to Palo Alto. The journey felt like crossing a border into a foreign land, one I'd tried to forget. Pulling up to the Harper estate was like stepping into a memory I'd buried. The gates gleamed, flanked by security cameras. A guard I didn't recognize checked his list, his eyes narrowing as if I were an intruder. Asterisk. Miss Harper is expecting you. Asterisk, he said, his tone skeptical. The mansion was sleeker than I remembered, its warmth stripped away. Corporate awards lined the foyer, replacing the family photos I'd once known. Olivia met me there, flawless in a black dress that cost more than my rent. Asterisk. Emily, you made it. Asterisk, she said, her air kiss missing my cheek by inches. Asterisk. Mother's resting. The meds make her foggy, so don't expect much. Dinner's at 7. Asterisk. She checked her watch. Asterisk. I have a board call. Asterisk. And she was gone, leaving me with a sinking feeling that this wasn't just a farewell, it was the start of something bigger. Maria, a new housekeeper, led me to my old room. It was unrecognizable, its walls a sterile white, my childhood sketches gone. Asterisk. How long has it been like this? Asterisk. I asked. Asterisk. Years, asterisk, Maria replied. Asterisk. The whole house is different now. Asterisk. I set my bag down, my heart heavy. This wasn't home anymore. But upstairs, Mom was fighting her final battle. Whatever lay ahead, I was here. And deep down, I knew this trip would change everything. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong in your own story? Share your thoughts below. And if you've ever chosen a path that felt true to you, despite the cost, hit that like button. This is just the beginning. Stay with me for what comes next. Stepping back into the Harper estate in Palo Alto, California, felt like crossing a threshold into a world I'd tried to forget. The drive from Asheville, North Carolina, had been long 3 days of endless highways, my old hatchback rattling with every mile. I'd left behind my cozy studio, where the smell of clay and the laughter of my students filled the air, for a place that never felt like home. The mansion loomed before me, its sleek glass and steel facade reflecting the California sun like a mirror. This wasn't the house of my childhood, with its faint warmth and family photos. It was a monument to Harper Innovations, my mother, Catherine's cybersecurity empire, and a stark reminder of why I'd walked away 12 years ago. I'm Emily Harper, the forgotten daughter of a tech titan, and this return was already stirring emotions I wasn't ready to face. But something told me this trip was about more than saying goodbye to my dying mother. The wrought iron gates swung open, their polished surface catching the light. A security guard, young and unfamiliar, scrutinized my ID with a frown, as if I were a stranger trespassing on sacred ground. "Miss Harper is expecting you," he said finally, his tone laced with doubt. I drove up the winding driveway, past manicured lawns that looked more like a corporate campus than a family estate. The mansion itself had been transformed since I'd last seen it. Gone were the traces of the home where my sister Olivia and I had played as kids. The foyer now gleamed with marble floors and walls lined with plaques, awards from tech summits, framed articles about Harper Innovation's global reach. It was as if the house had been scrubbed clean of any hint that a family, not just a business, had ever lived here. Olivia met me in the foyer, her presence as commanding as the space itself. At 34, my twin sister was the picture of polished perfection. Her black dress tailored to every curve, her hair sleek and her smile practiced. "Emily, you made it," she said, her voice smooth but distant, like a CEO greeting a minor shareholder. She leaned in for an air kiss, her lips hovering near my cheek without making contact. "Mother's resting. The medication makes her drift in and out, so don't expect much. Dinner's at 7. You can see her after." She glanced at her smartwatch, a sleek device that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "I have a board call in 10. Maria will show you to your room." And with that, she was gone, her heels clicking against the marble as she disappeared down a hallway. No hug, no trace of warmth, just a transaction completed. Maria, the new housekeeper, led me through the mansion's labyrinth of corridors. Her quiet efficiency reminded me of the staff who'd raised us, always present but never part of the family's inner circle. My old bedroom was unrecognizable. Its walls painted a sterile white, my childhood murals of swirling colors replaced by generic abstract prints. The bed was a modern slab, the kind you'd find in a luxury hotel, not a teenager's sanctuary. "How long has it been like this?" I asked, setting my worn duffel bag on the floor. Maria hesitated, her eyes soft with something like pity. "Years, Miss Emily. The whole house was redone after you left." I nodded, swallowing the ache in my chest. This wasn't my home anymore. It was Catherine Harper's legacy, a shrine to her empire. Dinner was a study in contrasts. Olivia sat at the head of the massive dining table, her posture perfect, a glass of Pinot Noir in hand. I sat at the opposite end, my plate of roasted quail barely touched. The table, once a place where Dad would sneak us extra dessert, now felt like a boardroom. Mother's chair remained empty, a silent reminder of her absence upstairs. "The company's stock has risen since Mother's diagnosis went public," Olivia remarked, slicing her quail with precision. "Investors trust the succession plan." Her words were casual, but they landed like a stone in my stomach. "Is that what we're talking about tonight?" I asked, pushing my plate away. "Our mother's dying, Olivia." She took a slow sip of wine, her eyes meeting mine with cool detachment. "Life goes on, Emily. That's business, something you never quite grasped." As the meal ended, I overheard two staff members whispering near the kitchen. "Miss Olivia's already planning the inheritance announcement," one said, her voice low. "A celebration at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, booked for next month. $700 million, they say." My breath caught. Mom was still alive, fighting for every moment, and Olivia was already celebrating her fortune. The callousness of it twisted something deep inside me. I excused myself and headed upstairs, desperate to see Mom, to anchor myself in this surreal return. The master suite had been transformed into a medical ward, all sterile whites and beeping monitors. Mom lay in a hospital bed, a shadow of the woman who'd once commanded boardrooms with a glance. Catherine Harper, the titan who'd built Harper Innovations from nothing, looked small, her black hair thin and graying, her face bare of the makeup that had always been her armor. I approached slowly, my heart pounding. "Mom?" I whispered. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then sharpening as they found me. "Emily?" Her voice was a fragile thread, slurred by medication. "You came." I took her hand, shocked at how cold and delicate it felt. "Of course I came," I said, my throat tight. She tried to speak again, her words fading into a murmur. "The phone, you need—" Before she could finish, a nurse appeared, adjusting an IV line. "She needs rest," the nurse said briskly. "Miss Olivia set a schedule. You can see her tomorrow after breakfast." As I left the room, my eyes caught something on the bedside tableau. Small clay figurine. A clumsy little bird I'd made at 10. Its wings uneven but full of heart. Mom had kept it all these years. The sight stopped me cold, a flicker of hope piercing the fog of estrangement. Had she cared even a little about the part of me she'd dismissed? I returned to my room. The figurine's image burned into my mind. It didn't fit with the mother I knew, the one who'd called my art a waste of time. But it was a crack in the wall between us, a hint that there was more to her than I'd understood. Later that evening, as I unpacked, I overheard another conversation through the walls. 2 staff members, their voices hushed but urgent. "Miss Olivia's already redecorating the executive office," one said. "And the party at the Ritz?" "It's for the board to celebrate the inheritance." My stomach churned. $700 million, a fortune Mom had built with her brilliance and grit, and Olivia was already claiming it while Mom lay upstairs, clinging to life. The betrayal felt like a physical weight, pressing against my chest. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the blank walls of my old room, and made a silent promise. I was here for Mom, not for Olivia's games. Whatever she was hiding, whatever this visit would uncover, I'd face it. Because even after all these years, I was still a Harper. And Harpers don't back down. Have you ever returned to a place that felt like a stranger's house, even though it was once your home? Share your story in the comments. And if you've ever felt a spark of hope in a moment of doubt, hit that like button. This journey's just beginning, and trust me, it's about to get real. The Harper estate in Palo Alto, California, felt like a labyrinth of secrets, each hallway a reminder of how far I'd drifted from the family I once knew. I'd come from my quiet life in Asheville, North Carolina, where the rhythm of my pottery wheel and the laughter of my students grounded me. Now, standing in this mansion that had traded warmth for corporate glory, I felt like an outsider in my own story. My mother, Catherine Harper, the titan behind Harper Innovations, was upstairs, fighting a losing battle with ovarian cancer. I'd returned to say goodbye, but every moment here deepened my sense that something was terribly wrong. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose clay over power, and the whispers I heard in these walls were starting to sound like betrayal. My first day back had been a jolt. Olivia, my twin sister, greeted me with the cold efficiency of a CEO. Her tailored dress and calculated air kiss a stark contrast to the messy, heartfelt world I'd built in Asheville. She'd already limited my time with Mom, citing medical schedules, while planning a lavish inheritance celebration at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco. $700 million, the staff whispered, as if Mom's life was already a closed deal. That night, as I lay in the sterile guest suite that had once been my bedroom, I couldn't shake the image of Mom's frail hand in mine, or the clay figurine on her bedside tableau, clumsy bird I'd made at 10. It was a crack in the wall of estrangement, a hint that Mom might have cared about my art despite years of dismissal. But the whispers I heard the next morning turned that flicker of hope into a spark of suspicion. It started with Rosa, the housekeeper who'd been with our family since I was a child. I found her in the kitchen, polishing silver with a care that felt like defiance against the mansion's cold modernity. "Miss Emily," she said, her voice low, glancing over her shoulder. "Your mother's been asking for you for months, not just since the prognosis worsened." Her words hit like a punch. Olivia had told me Mom only requested family when her condition became terminal, 6 weeks ago. 3 months at least, Rosa continued, her eyes full of quiet urgency. Every time she was clear-headed, before the heavy meds, she'd say, "Where's Emily?" I gripped the counter, my heart racing. Why would Olivia lie about something so fundamental? What was she hiding? Determined to understand, I wandered the mansion, searching for traces of the home it used to be. The library, once a haven where Dad read us stories, was now a showcase of corporate artifacts, patents, awards, a glass case displaying the first Harper Innovations laptop. I ran my fingers along the shelves, hoping for something personal, something human. Tucked behind a row of leather-bound business journals, I found a small sketchbook, its pages yellowed with age. It was Mom's, filled with simple pencil drawing scenes of Olivia and me as kids playing in the garden, laughing with Dad. The lines were hesitant, not the work of an artist, but of a mother capturing moments she'd never shared. My throat tightened. Mom, the woman who'd called my art a waste, had sketched us in secret. Had she longed for connection as much as I had? The discovery shook me, but it was overshadowed by what I found next. In Mom's private study, a room off-limits in my childhood, I noticed a locked journal on her desk, its spine embossed with last year's date. My hands trembled as I picked the lock with a paperclip, a trick I'd learned as a curious kid. Inside, pages were missing, torn out with ragged edges, corresponding to the months after our last big fight, the one that drove me to Asheville. Why would someone remove those pages? The answer came as I heard voices outside the study. I slipped the journal back and grabbed a random book as a cover, stepping into the hallway just as Olivia and a man in a sharp suit, Gregory Wells, Mom's new lawyer, passed by. "The Napa Valley estate can be listed next week," Olivia said, her voice clipped. "The board's ready for the transition," Gregory nodded. "The will's nearly finalized. We just need her signature while she's still cooperative." My blood ran cold. Mom was still alive, and they were already carving up her legacy. That afternoon, I tried to see Mom, hoping for another moment of clarity. The nurse, a stern woman named Clara, blocked me at the door. "Miss Olivia's orders," she said. "Your mother's with Mr. Wells, reviewing documents. You can try tomorrow." Frustration flared, but I nodded, retreating to the garden to clear my head. The roses Dad had planted were gone, replaced by sleek topiaries. As I walked, I overheard two groundskeepers near the fountain. "She's got decorators coming for the executive office," one muttered. "And a big party planned at the Ritz-Carlton. 700 million's worth celebrating, I guess." The other chuckled darkly. "While Miss Catherine's still breathing upstairs?" Cold, even for her. I froze, my heart pounding. Olivia wasn't just planning, she was moving forward as if Mom were already gone. Back inside, I found Rosa again, this time dusting the foyer. I pulled her aside, my voice low. "Rosa, what's going on? Why's Olivia acting like Mom's already dead?" Her eyes darted nervously, but she leaned closer. "It's been like this since the diagnosis, Miss Emily. Miss Olivia and Mr. Wells are in and out of your mother's room, always with papers, always when she's groggy. The staff talk. They say the meds keep her too foggy to argue." My stomach twisted. Was Olivia manipulating Mom's condition? The thought was unthinkable, yet it fit the pieces I was starting to seethe lies about when Mom asked for me. The missing journal pages. The rush to sell assets. That evening, I sat alone at the dining table, Olivia absent for another board call. The silence was heavy, broken only by the clink of my fork against untouched salmon. I thought of Mom's sketchbook, those fragile drawings of a family we'd lost. I thought of the clay bird on her bedside table, a relic of a time when I believed she might see me for who I was. The mansion felt like a cage, its walls closing in with secrets I couldn't yet grasp. But one thing was clear. Olivia was orchestrating something, and Mom was caught in the middle. I wasn't here just to say goodbye. I was here to uncover the truth, to fight for the mother who, despite everything, had kept my figurine by her side. As I climbed the stairs to my room, I passed Mom's suite. The door was ajar, and I glimpsed her frail form, monitors glowing in the dim light. Clara, the nurse, stepped out, her expression softening when she saw me. "She's sleeping," she said, but there was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. "Try early tomorrow, before the meds." I nodded, my resolve hardening. Tomorrow, I'd find a way to talk to Mom. Tomorrow, I'd start unraveling the whispers of betrayal that echoed through this house. Because even after all these years, I was still a Harper, and I wasn't going to let Olivia erase what was left of our family. Have you ever sensed a truth no one wanted you to know? Share your story below. And if you've ever felt a spark of determination to uncover what's hidden, hit that like button. This is just the start. Stick with me, because things are about to get intense. The Harper estate in Palo Alto, California, was a maze of gleaming surfaces and hidden truths, each room a reminder of the distance between the life I'd built in Asheville, North Carolina, and the legacy I'd left behind. I'd come back to say goodbye to my mother, Catherine Harper, the formidable founder of Harper Innovations, now fading under the weight of ovarian cancer. But every day here deepened my unease. My sister, Olivia, was orchestrating a $700 million inheritance celebration, while Mom still clung to life, her actions cloaked in secrecy and lies. The whispers of betrayal I'd overheard from Rosa, the housekeeper, about Mom asking for me months earlier, to the staff's chatter about Olivia's plans at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco had ignited a fire in me. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over ambition, and in one fleeting moment, a single phone unlocked a truth that changed everything. It was early morning, the mansion quiet except for the hum of medical equipment. I'd slipped into Mom's suite before the nurse's rounds, driven by Rosa's hint that Mom was clearest before her morning meds. The room was a sterile contrast to the vibrant chaos of my Asheville studio, its walls lined with monitors instead of clay-stained shelves. Mom lay in a hospital bed, her once commanding presence reduced to a fragile silhouette. Her eyes, dulled by medication, flickered with recognition as I approached. "Emily," she whispered, her voice a faint thread. I took her hand, its coldness a shock against my skin. "I'm here, Mom," I said, my heart aching with years of unspoken words. Her fingers tightened, a spark of urgency breaking through. "The phone, in the drawer," she murmured, her gaze darting to the bedside table. "It's all there. Don't trust them. Olivia, Wells." Her words slurred, her strength fading, but her eyes held mine, pleading. I glanced at the door, my pulse racing. The nurse, Clara, could return any moment. I opened the drawer, my fingers brushing past medical supplies until they closed around an old smartphone, its screen scratched and edges worn. "Take it now," Mom whispered, her voice barely audible. I slipped the phone into my pocket just as Clara's footsteps echoed in the hallway. "She needs rest," Clara said sharply, adjusting an IV line. Mom's eyes fluttered shut, the moment lost. I left the room, the phone a heavy weight against my thigh, its secrets burning through me. Olivia and Gregory Wells, Mom's new lawyer, were hiding something Mom wanted me to find. Back in the guest suite that had once been my bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed, the phone in my hands. Its outdated design felt like a relic from another life, a stark contrast to the sleek devices Olivia favored. I powered it on, half expecting it to be locked or wiped. The screen lit up, prompting a password. I tried Mom's birthday, then the year Harper Innovations was founded. Nothing worked. Frustration built until a memory surfaced, soft and fleeting. When I was little, Mom called me Moonbeam in private moments. When I'd show her my latest clay creation, my eyes bright with excitement. On a whim, I typed Moonbeam. The phone unlocked, and my breath caught. Mom had chosen a piece of our past to protect her secrets. The home screen was ordinary default apps, a plain background, but it felt like a door to a hidden world. I opened the photo gallery first, expecting business documents or contract snapshots. Instead, I found a folder labeled Personal. Inside were dozens of images of my work ceramics from high school art shows, vases from my Asheville exhibitions, even a photo from a recent gallery opening I'd never told Mom about. My hands shook as I scrolled. She'd been following my career, collecting moments I thought she'd dismissed. One image stopped me cold. A close-up of the clay bird on her bedside table, my childhood creation captioned, "Emily's first sculpture." Tears welled up. Mom, who'd called my art a hobby, had cherished it in secret. The phone held more than photos. An app labeled Notes revealed a video diary, its icon unassuming but its contents staggering. I played the first entry, dated a year ago. Mom's face filled the screen, tired but sharp, her voice steady. "This is Catherine Harper, recording for my records. I've been thinking about Emily lately. She's built something real in Asheville. Something I never understood. I pushed her away, and I regret it." My chest tightened, a mix of grief and validation washing over me. She spoke of her pride in my pottery workshop for at-risk kids, her voice breaking as she admitted she didn't know how to bridge the gap. "I was wrong to think her art wasn't enough," she said. "It's her strength, her way of leaving a mark." I paused the video, tears streaming down my face. Mom had seen me, even when I thought she hadn't. But the phone's true weight lay in a folder labeled Records, filled with voice memos spanning years. Most were business-related board meetings, strategy sessions, but a subfolder marked Recent caught my eye, dated from the past 4 months, aligning with Mom's diagnosis. I played the first memo, and Olivia's voice filled the room, crisp and calculated. "The prognosis gives us a tight window," she said. "We need to act before she reconsiders the succession plan." Gregory Wells responded, his tone smooth. "The medication protocol is key. Dr. Langston's on board. Comfortable patients don't ask questions. The will revisions are ready. We'll start with the smaller assets, then move to the full transfer." My blood ran cold. They were manipulating Mom's care, keeping her compliant to rewrite her will. Another memo, dated weeks later, was even more damning. Olivia's voice, sharp with frustration. "She's asking for Emily again. We can't let her talk too long, she's too clear in the mornings." Wells replied, "We'll adjust the dosage, doctor. Langston can ensure she's lucid enough to sign, but not enough to question." I gripped the phone, rage and grief battling inside me. They'd been drugging Mom, clouding her mind to steal her legacy. A final video dated just days ago showed Mom in bed, her voice weak but resolute. "Emily, my moonbeam," she began, holding up a newspaper to prove the date. "If you're watching this, you have the phone. I've been gathering evidence. Olivia and Wells are changing everything: my will, my company. The truth is here. You're stronger than you know. Don't let them win." The video cut off, her strength spent. I sat in the dim room, the phone trembling in my hands. Mom had trusted me with her truth, her fight, even as her body failed her. The photos, the diary, the recordings, they weren't just evidence. They were a bridge, a final connection across years of distance. I wasn't just the forgotten daughter anymore. I was the one Mom chose to protect her legacy. But the weight of that trust was heavy. Olivia and Wells were steps ahead, their plans already in motion. I needed to act, to find allies, to uncover the full scope of their betrayal. The phone was my weapon, but it was also a lifeline to the mother I'd thought I'd lost. Have you ever found a truth that changed how you saw someone you loved? Share your story below. And if you've ever held a small object that carried a huge weight, hit that like button. The fight's just beginning. Stay with me for what's next. The weight of my mother's phone in my pocket felt like a heartbeat, pulsing with secrets that could unravel everything. I'd returned to the Harper estate in Palo Alto, California, to say goodbye to Catherine Harper, the titan behind Harper Innovations, now fading under the grip of ovarian cancer. But what I'd found was far more than a farewell. My sister, Olivia, was orchestrating a $700 million inheritance grab, planning celebrations at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco while Mom still breathed. The phone, unlocked with the password Moonbeam, had revealed a chilling truth. Olivia and her lawyer, Gregory Wells, were manipulating Mom's medication to cloud her mind, rewriting her will to seize control. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose Clay over corporate games, and with each new discovery, I was piecing together a betrayal that demanded justice. The mansion's sterile halls felt like a pressure cooker, every whisper and glance amplifying my resolve. The phone's contents: photos of my ceramics, Mom's video diary confessing her regrets, and recordings of Olivia and Wells plotting had shaken me to my core. Mom had trusted me with her truth, but it wasn't enough to know. I had to act. That morning, I sat in the guest suite that had once been my childhood bedroom, the blank walls a stark contrast to my vibrant Asheville studio. The phone's recordings played on a loop in my mind, Olivia's voice cold and calculated. Asterisk. The medication protocol is key. Comfortable patients don't ask questions. Asterisk. I needed more evidence. Something to prove their scheme beyond the phone's damning audio. Rosa, the housekeeper who'd been with us since I was a child, became my lifeline. I found her in the laundry room, folding linens with a quiet intensity. "Rosa," I whispered, checking the hallway. "You said the staff talk about Mom's meds. What else have you heard?" Her hands paused, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of fear and determination. "Miss Emily, it's not just talk. The new nurse, Clara, follows Miss Olivia's orders like a soldier. They upped your mother's dosage after she started asking for you, saying she was in pain. But I saw her those mornings she was sharp, talking about you, her art collection. Then Mr. Wells would show up with papers and she'd be foggy again. My heart sank. Papers? I pressed. Rosa nodded. Documents. Always when she was half out of it. I overheard Mr. Wells tell Clara to keep you away during those meetings. Her words ignited a fire in me. I needed to dig deeper, to find something concrete to back the phone's evidence. The mansion's library, once a place of stories with Dad, now held rows of corporate records. I slipped inside, my footsteps muffled on the plush carpet. Behind a shelf of annual reports, I found a locked filing cabinet. My old paperclip trick from childhood worked again, the lock clicking open to reveal a folder marked Estate Updates. Inside were draft documents, property transfers for the Napa Valley estate, patent sales, and a revised will naming Olivia as sole heir. The dates aligned with Mom's diagnosis, and the signatures looked shaky. Nothing like Mom's bold, confident scrawl. My hands trembled. This was proof, but it wasn't enough to take on Olivia and Wells. Then I remembered the phone's secure folder, mentioned in Mom's video diary. I retreated to my room, locking the door, and opened it with my birthday as the passcode. Inside were encrypted emails, downloaded before Mom lost access to her accounts. One stood out, sent to a private investigator named Daniel Carter 3 months ago. I suspect Olivia is influencing my medical care, Mom had written. Monitor her communications with Gregory Wells and Dr. Langston. I need evidence before it's too late. My breath caught. Mom had been fighting back, even as her body failed. The investigator's reply included audio files, more recordings of Olivia and Wells discussing how to manage Mom's lucidity to secure signatures. One email contained a photo of the original will, dated a year ago, splitting assets equally between Olivia and me, with provisions for my Asheville pottery workshop. Mom had valued my work, my world all along. The emotional weight hit me like a wave. I sank onto the bed, tears streaming down my face. Mom's video diary had shown her regret, but these emails revealed her strength, her refusal to let Olivia erase her true wishes. I thought of the clay bird on her bedside table, a relic of my childhood she'd kept close. She'd been watching me, proud of the life I'd built in Asheville, even when I thought she'd written me off. But the recordings painted a darker picture. One, dated 2 weeks ago, captured Olivia's voice, sharp with impatience. She's resisting again, asking for Emily. We need to increase the sedative before the next signing, Wells responded. Dr. Langston's ready. We'll keep her compliant until the board meeting. The betrayal was raw, a knife twisting in my gut. They weren't just stealing Mom's legacy, they were stealing her voice. I needed an ally, someone outside the mansion's suffocating walls. Rosa slipped me the name of Mom's former assistant, Laura Bennett, who'd left Harper Innovations abruptly after Mom's diagnosis. I called her from a burner phone I'd bought in town, wary of Olivia's reach. Laura agreed to meet me at a small cafe in downtown Palo Alto, away from prying eyes. Over coffee, she handed me a USB drive. Your mother gave me this before I was let go, she said, her voice low. It's her original will, plus medical directives she insisted on. She suspected Olivia was working with Wells to change things. She wanted you to have this, Emily. The USB held digital copies of the same documents I'd found on the phone, plus notes from Mom's doctor warning against excessive sedation. It was a lifeline, a bridge to Mom's true intentions. Back at the mansion, I confronted Olivia at dinner, my anger barely contained. The dining room, with its towering windows and empty chairs, felt like a stage for our fractured family. Why didn't you tell me Mom was asking for me months ago? I demanded. My voice steady despite the storm inside. Olivia's fork paused, her eyes narrowing. You're emotional, Emily. Mother's confused, medicated. She doesn't know what she wants. Her dismissal stung, but I pressed on. She's not confused when she's asking for me. What are you and Wells hiding? Olivia's smile was ice. You abandoned this family for your little art projects. Don't pretend to care about Mother's wishes now. Her words cut, but they fueled my resolve. She wasn't just dismissing Mesh, was covering something up. That night, I lay awake, the USB and phone hidden under my pillow. The mansion's silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant hum of Mom's monitors. I thought of my students in Asheville, their hands shaping clay into hope, and of Mom, fighting to protect her legacy even as her strength faded. The evidence was mounting recordings, emails, documents, but it was a dangerous game. Olivia and Wells were steps ahead, their control over Mom's care absolute. I needed a plan, someone to help me expose them before it was too late. Mom had trusted me with her truth, and I wouldn't let her down. The Harper name meant something to me now, not power, but justice, and the chance to honor the mother I was only beginning to understand. Have you ever uncovered a truth that made you question everything? Share your story below. And if you've ever felt the weight of someone's trust, hit that like button. The battle's heating up. Stay with me for what's next. The Harper estate in Palo Alto, California, had become a battlefield, its gleaming halls hiding a war I never expected to fight. I'd left my quiet life in Asheville, North Carolina, where the hum of my pottery wheel and the dreams of my students anchored me, to say goodbye to my mother, Catherine Harper. But what I'd uncovered was a betrayal that cut deeper than years of estrangement. My sister, Olivia, and her lawyer, Gregory Wells, were manipulating Mom's medication to secure a $700 million inheritance, planning celebrations at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco while Mom's life slipped away. The old phone Mom entrusted to me, unlocked with the password Moonbeam, held damning evidence recordings, emails, and a video diary proving their scheme. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over ambition, and with Mom's time running out, I was racing to honor her truth before it was too late. Every moment in the mansion felt like a countdown. Mom's condition was worsening, her frail form barely registering beneath the hospital bed's blankets. The beeping monitors in her suite were a cruel metronome, each sound a reminder that I had days, maybe hours, to act. The phone's revelations, Olivia's voice plotting to keep Mom compliant, the original will naming me an equal heir. Mom's secret pride in my Asheville workshop had lit a fire in me. But evidence alone wasn't enough. Olivia's control was ironclad, her allies embedded in the medical team and Harper Innovations board. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. I started with the medical records. Rosa, the housekeeper who'd become my confidant, had hinted that Mom's rapid decline wasn't natural. I cornered Clara, the nurse, in the hallway outside Mom's room, my voice low but firm. I want to see Mom's medication logs, I said, holding her gaze. Clara's eyes flickered with unease, her hands tightening on her clipboard. That's confidential, Miss Emily. You'll need Miss Olivia's approval. Her refusal confirmed my suspicions Olivia was orchestrating everything, even Mom's care. She's my mother. I pressed, my voice cracking with urgency. I have a right to know what's happening to her. Clara looked away, her silence louder than words. Talk to Miss Olivia, she muttered, hurrying off. My frustration boiled, but I knew pushing harder would tip Olivia off. Desperate for leverage, I reached out to Laura Bennett, Mom's former assistant, who'd given me a USB drive with the original will and medical directives. We met again at the same Palo Alto cafe, its warm lights a stark contrast to the mansion's cold sterility. Laura slid a small notebook across the table, her expression grim. Your mother kept this hidden in her office, she said. It's a log of her symptoms, written when she was still lucid. She noted feeling foggy after certain meds, especially when Wells visited with documents. I flipped through the pages, Mom's precise handwriting detailing dates and dosages, her suspicions scrawled in the margins. Asterisk, Olivia and Wells pushing for signatures. Not myself after pills. Asterisk. My heart sank. Mom had been fighting, documenting her own betrayal even as her strength faded. The notebook was a bombshell, but I needed legal muscle to wield it. I contacted Rachel Cohen, a San Francisco attorney known for dismantling estate fraud. Her office, perched in a high-rise overlooking the Bay Bridge, felt like a fortress of hope. I laid out everything: the phone's recordings, the USB's documents, Mom's notebook. Rachel's eyes narrowed as she listened to a memo of Olivia instructing Dr. Langston to increase Mom's sedative. This is elder abuse, Emily, she said, her voice steady but fierce. Potentially criminal. We can contest the will, but we need to move fast. The Harper Innovations board meeting is in 3 days. That's our chance to expose Olivia. I nodded, my resolve hardening. What about Mom's care? I asked. Can we stop the meds? Rachel frowned. We'd need a court order and that takes time. Our best shot is the board. If they see this evidence, they'll have to act. Back at the mansion, I slipped into Mom's room at dawn, before Clara's rounds. The clay bird I'd made at 10 still sat on her bedside table, a fragile link to the mother I was fighting for. Mom stirred as I took her hand, her eyes flickering open. "Emily," she whispered, her voice clearer than I'd heard in days. "You found it? The phone?" I nodded, tears welling. "I did, Mom. I know what they're doing." Her fingers tightened, a spark of her old fire breaking through. "I'm sorry," she murmured, "for pushing you away. Your art, it's beautiful. I was wrong." My throat closed, grief and love colliding. "I'm going to fix this," I promised. "For you?" Her eyes softened, but exhaustion pulled her under. I left the room, her words echoing in my heart, fueling my determination. Olivia's grip tightened as Mom's condition worsened. She intercepted me in the hallway, her tailored blazer as sharp as her tone. "Mother's too fragile for visitors today," she said, blocking my path. "The board needs me focused, Emily. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Her words were a warning, but I saw the flicker of unease in her eyes. She knew I was onto something. "She's our mother, Olivia," I shot back, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Not a business deal." Olivia's smile was razor thin. "You never understood business, did you? Stay out of this." She turned away, but I caught the tension in her shoulders. She was rattled, and that gave me an edge. I spent the next day with Rachel, strategizing our move. We compiled a dossier for the board recordings, emails, the original will, Mom's notebook, and a sworn statement from Laura about Olivia's pressure to fire her. Rachel also secured a meeting with Dr. Patel, Mom's original physician, who'd been replaced by Dr. Langston after raising concerns about overmedication. "Your mother's sedation levels were excessive," Dr. Patel told us over a secure call. I warned Miss Olivia, but she insisted on a new team. "I'll testify if needed." His words were another piece of the puzzle, a lifeline in the race to save Mom's legacy. As night fell, I wandered the mansion's garden, the Napa Valley estate sale documents heavy in my mind. The roses Dad planted were gone, replaced by sterile topiaries, but the fountain where I'd played as a kid still stood. I sat by it, the phone in my hands, replaying Mom's video diary. "You're stronger than you know," she'd said. I thought of my students in Asheville, shaping clay into hope, and realized Mom had seen that strength in me, even when I doubted it. The board meeting loomed, a make-or-break moment to expose Olivia and Wells, but Mom's time was slipping away, her breathing shallower with each passing hour. I was running out of time to save her, to honor the woman who'd kept my clay bird by her side. The mansion's lights glowed behind me, a reminder of the fight ahead. Olivia was a master of control, but I had Mom's truth and allies who believed in it. Rachel, Rosa, Laura, Dr. Patel, they were my team, a patchwork family forged in this crisis. I stood, the phone, a talisman of purpose. Mom had entrusted me with her fight, and I wouldn't let her down. The race was on, and I was ready to run. Have you ever raced against time to right a wrong? Share your story below. And if you've ever found strength in a moment of doubt, hit that like button. The showdown's coming. Stay with me for what's next. The air in San Francisco crackled with tension as I stepped into the gleaming tower of Harper Innovations, the heart of my mother's cybersecurity empire. I'd left behind the clay-stained simplicity of my Asheville, North Carolina studio to confront a betrayal that threatened to erase Catherine Harper's legacy. My sister, Olivia, had orchestrated a $700 million inheritance grab, manipulating Mom's medication to rewrite her will while she lay dying in Palo Alto. The old phone Mom entrusted to me, unlocked with Moonbeam, held the truth recordings, emails, a video diary, and documents proving Olivia and her lawyer, Gregory Wells, had betrayed her. With Mom's time slipping away, I'd raced to gather allies. Rosa, the housekeeper, Laura, Mom's former assistant, and Rachel Cohen, a fierce San Francisco attorney. Today was the Harper Innovations board meeting. our chance to expose Olivia's fraud. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over power, and this was the moment to fight for my mother's truth. The boardroom occupied the top floor, its glass walls offering a panoramic view of the Bay Bridge and the city's skyline. The Harper Innovations Lagoa stylized H in steel loomed over the entrance, a symbol of Mom's relentless drive. I wore a tailored black suit chosen not for style but for resolve, a nod to the mother who'd built this empire with grit. Rachel walked beside me, her briefcase heavy with evidence, the phone's recordings, Mom's original will, her symptom log, and Dr. Patel's statement about overmedication. My heart pounded as we approached the reception desk. The assistant, a young woman with a polished smile, blinked when I gave my name. "Miss Harper, you're not on the visitor list," she said, her fingers hesitating over her tablet. "That's an oversight," I replied, my voice steady. "Please inform the board chair that Catherine Harper's daughter is here regarding urgent estate matters. My attorney and I will wait." The confusion worked in our favor. After hushed phone calls, we were escorted to a small conference room adjacent to the boardroom, its glass wall offering a partial view of the meeting in progress. Olivia stood at the front, gesturing at a projection of Harper Innovations' growth forecast, her tailored blazer and confident smile commanding the room. The board 12 men and women in sharp suits listened intently, unaware of the storm about to break. "Miss, Olivia says the board's in session and can't be interrupted," the assistant said, shifting nervously. Rachel handed her a sealed envelope. "Deliver this to the board chair immediately," she said. "It contains time-sensitive legal information affecting company governance." The assistant nodded, disappearing into the boardroom. We waited, the muffled hum of Olivia's presentation filtering through the wall. My mind drifted to Mom, her frail hand in mine, her whispered apology for pushing me away. The clay bird on her bedside table, a relic of my childhood, symbolized her quiet pride in my art. She'd trusted me with her phone, her truth, and I wouldn't let her down. The assistant returned, her expression strained. "The board chairs called a 15-minute recess to review the documents," she said. "Miss, Olivia wishes to speak with you privately." Rachel's response was firm. "We'll speak with Miss Olivia in the boardroom. This concerns all parties equally." When we entered the boardroom, the atmosphere was electric. The board members sat around a massive oak table, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. Olivia stood at the head, her composure fraying, a crack in her polished facade. "Sarah, this is hardly the venue for family drama," she said, her voice artificially warm. "The board has critical business to conduct." I met her gaze, my resolve unshaken. "This is exactly the venue," I said, nodding to Rachel, who distributed folders to each board member. "Since that business involves fraudulently seizing control of Harper Innovations." Rachel opened the presentation with Mom's video diary, projected on the boardroom screen. Mom's frail but determined voice filled the room, holding up a newspaper to prove the date. "Any amendments to my will after this video are suspect, potentially executed under duress or impaired judgment," she said, outlining her true wishes. "Equal division of assets between Olivia and me, balanced board control, and her original attorney as executor." The board members shifted, their skepticism turning to shock. Olivia's face paled, but she recovered quickly. "That video could be old, manipulated," she said, her voice tight. Mother was confused, medicated. Rachel countered smoothly. "The newspaper's date suggests otherwise. Perhaps the board would like to hear more." I played the recordings, each one a dagger. Olivia's voice cold and precise. Asterisk. Increase the sedative before the next signing. Asterisk. Wells' smooth agreement. Asterisk. Doctor. Langston's ready to keep her compliant. Asterisk. A board member gasped as we played a clip of Olivia threatening Mom with heavier sedation if she resisted. The room fell silent, the weight of betrayal palpable. Gregory Wells, seated beside Olivia, scribbled notes, his face a mask of panic. "These are edited, taken out of context," he said, his voice faltering. Rachel handed out the full audio files, along with Mom's notebook logging her symptoms and Dr. Patel's statement. "The evidence is unedited and corroborated," she said. "This suggests elder abuse and fraud." Olivia's composure cracked. "The medical decisions were for Mother's comfort," she said, her voice less steady. "You're twisting this, Emily, because you never wanted this company." I stepped forward, my voice clear. This isn't about the company, Olivia. It's about Mom's wishes, her truth. She trusted me to protect her legacy. I held up the phone, its scratched screen a symbol of her faith. You tried to silence her, but she spoke anyway. A board member, an older man who'd known Mom for decades, removed his glasses, his expression grave. Miss Harper, Mr. Wells, these allegations are serious. If true, they violate our fiduciary duty. Wells, sensing the tide turning, turned on Olivia. Any procedural issues were at Miss Olivia's direction, he said, his voice desperate. I only prepared the documents she requested. Olivia's gasp echoed, her eyes wide. You suggested the medication changes, she hissed. You said it was standard for estate transitions. Their united front collapsed, each scrambling to deflect blame. The board chair, a woman with steel-gray hair, raised a hand. Enough, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. The board will convene privately to review this. Miss Emily, your mother built this company on integrity. We won't ignore evidence of fraud. As we left the boardroom, Olivia grabbed my arm, her voice low. This won't bring Mother back, Emily. Take a settlement and walk away. You never wanted this life. I pulled free, meeting her gaze. This isn't about money, Olivia. It's about justice. Mom deserved better than your betrayal. Her eyes flickered, a mix of anger and something like fear, before she turned away. Outside, Rachel squeezed my shoulder. You did it, she said. The board's rattled. They'll act. I nodded, but my heart was heavy. I'd won a battle, but the cost was a sister I'd never truly known. The board's decision came swiftly. By evening, news broke. Olivia was suspended as CEO pending investigation, and the board voted to contest the fraudulent will, restoring Mom's original directives. As I stood on the tower's rooftop terrace, the city lights sparkling below, I thought of Mom's video, her voice calling me Moonbeam. This victory was hers as much as mine, but the fight wasn't over. Mom was still upstairs, her time slipping away, and justice was only half the battle. I had to ensure her legacy and our bond endured. Have you ever stood up for someone's truth, even when it hurt? Share your story below. And if you've ever found courage in a moment of doubt, hit that like button. The story's not over. Stay with me for what's next. The aftermath of the boardroom showdown at Harper Innovations in San Francisco left me standing on a precipice, the weight of victory mingling with the ache of loss. I'd left my quiet life in Asheville, North Carolina, where clay and the dreams of my students shaped my days, to confront a betrayal that threatened my mother's legacy. Catherine Harper, the visionary behind Harper Innovations, had entrusted me with an old phone, its secrets recordings, emails, a video dire exposing my sister Olivia's scheme to seize a $700 million inheritance by manipulating Mom's medication. With allies like Rosa, the housekeeper, Laura, Mom's former assistant, and Rachel Cohen, my San Francisco attorney, I'd presented the truth to the board, shattering Olivia's facade. Now, as the wheels of justice began to turn, I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over ambition. And I was learning that justice, though hard-won, carried its own kind of grief. The news broke like a tidal wave across business channels that evening. Olivia Harper, suspended as CEO of Harper Innovations, faced an investigation into fraud and elder abuse. The board had voted unanimously to contest the fraudulent will, restoring Mom's original plan to divide her estate equally between Olivia and me. I watched the coverage from Rachel's office, the San Francisco skyline glittering beyond the windows, a stark contrast to the turmoil within. The victory was real, but it felt hollow. Mom was still in Palo Alto, her life measured in shallow breaths, and no courtroom could give me back the years we'd lost. The clay bird I'd made at 10, still on her bedside table, was a reminder of the bond we'd only just begun to rebuild. The legal proceedings unfolded swiftly, a testament to the evidence's strength. Rachel filed a petition in San Francisco's probate court, presenting the phone's recordings, Mom's notebook logging her symptoms, and the USB drive from Laura containing the original will. The judge, a stern woman with a reputation for fairness, reviewed the documents with a gravity that matched the case's stakes. Within days, the court invalidated the fraudulent will, citing coercion and impaired capacity. The original will, naming Olivia and me as equal heirs to approximately $350 million each, was reinstated. The ruling was a triumph, but it came with a pang of irony. I'd never wanted Mom's wealth, only her understanding. Yet here I was, inheriting a fortune I hadn't sought. The medical board took action next, a step I hadn't anticipated. Rachel had submitted a complaint about Dr. Langston, the physician who'd over-medicated Mom under Olivia's direction. I testified at a hearing in Sacramento, my voice steady as I described Mom's notebook and the recordings of Olivia and Gregory Wells discussing sedative adjustments. Dr. Langston's license was suspended pending a full investigation, a small but significant victory for accountability. Standing outside the hearing room, the California sun warm on my face, I felt a flicker of pride. Mom had fought for her truth, even in her weakest moments, and I'd carried that fight forward. Olivia and Wells faced the heaviest consequences. The San Francisco District Attorney, alerted by the board's investigation, charged them with elder abuse, fraud, and conspiracy. Wells, ever the opportunist, took a plea deal, offering testimony against Olivia in exchange for a reduced sentence. His betrayal was swift, a mirror of the duplicity he'd shown Mom. Olivia, abandoned by her ally, faced a mountain of evidence recordings of her instructing Dr. Langston, emails plotting the will's revision, and Mom's video diary declaring her true wishes. In a closed courtroom, she pleaded guilty to lesser charges of fraud and coercion, avoiding a trial but not punishment. The judge sentenced her to 4 years in a minimum security facility, with parole possible after 2. The news hit me not with satisfaction, but with sorrow. Olivia, my twin, had chosen ambition over family, and now she'd lost both. I visited her once, before sentencing, at a detention center outside San Francisco. The visitor's room was stark, its gray walls and plastic chairs a far cry from the Palo Alto mansion's opulence. Olivia sat across from me, her designer clothes replaced by a beige jumpsuit, her face stripped of its usual polish. "Why, Olivia?" I asked, my voice soft but firm. "Mom was giving you the company. Why risk everything for total control?" She studied me, her eyes guarded, but flickering with something like regret. "You wouldn't understand, Emily," she said. "In our world, partial control is nothing. I needed it all to shape Harper Innovations my way. I thought I was doing what Mom would have done." Her words hung between us, a twisted echo of Mom's relentless drive. "Mom built through vision, not betrayal," I said. "There's a difference." She looked away, her silence a confession. As I left, I felt no anger, only a quiet sadness for the sister I'd never truly known. The legal victories were only part of the story. Back in Palo Alto, I spent Mom's final days by her side, unrestricted now that Olivia's influence was gone. Rosa helped me bypass Clara, the nurse, ensuring Mom's meds were adjusted to keep her comfortable but lucid. In those fleeting moments, Mom spoke of Dad, of her early days building Harper Innovations, and of me. "Your workshop in Asheville," she said one morning, her voice weak but clear. "It's what I should have done, built something for others." I held her hand, tears falling. "You did build something, Mom. You built us." She smiled, a rare, unguarded expression, and I knew we'd found peace, however late. Mom passed quietly, a week after the court ruling, surrounded by the soft glow of her suite's monitors. I was there, holding her hand, the clay bird between us. The grief was raw, but it carried a strange clarity. Mom had given me more than evidences, he'd given me her trust, her love, hidden in the phone's moonbeam password, and the art she cherished. The funeral, held at a small chapel in Palo Alto, was simple, my choice over Olivia's planned spectacle. I spoke of Mom's strength, her regrets, and the quiet ways she'd loved us, like keeping my childhood sculpture by her side. The board attended, their presence a nod to her legacy, but I focused on the personal, not the corporate. In the weeks that followed, I grappled with what justice meant. The $350 million were mine, but they felt like a burden. I thought of my students in Asheville, shaping clay into hope, and of Mom's video diary, praising my work with them. I began sketching plans for a foundation, something to honor Mom's hidden love for creativity. The legal system had held Olivia and Wells accountable, But true justice was in rebuilding what they'd tried to destroy, a legacy of integrity, not greed. As I stood in Mom's study, the Napa Valley estate sale documents now voided, I found a small sketch she'd drawn of me as a child, tucked in her desk. It was clumsy, like my clay bird, but it held her heart. Justice wasn't just the courtroom wins or Olivia's sentence. It was this knowing Mom had seen me, loved me, and trusted me to carry her truth forward. I was ready to build something new, not just for her, but for the family we'd been and the one I'd create. Have you ever found justice that healed as much as it hurt? Share your story below. And if you've ever turned loss into purpose, hit that like button. The journey's not over. Stay with me for what's next. The dust of justice had settled, but the real work was just beginning. In the quiet aftermath of the courtroom victories in San Francisco, I stood in the Palo Alto mansion that had been both my childhood home and the stage for a betrayal that nearly erased my mother's legacy. Catherine Harper, the visionary who built Harper Innovations into a cybersecurity titan, had passed away, her final days marked by a truth I'd fought to reveal. My sister, Olivia, had manipulated Mom's medication to seize a $700 million inheritance, but the phone she entrusted to Moon locked with Moonbeam exposed her fraud. With the help of Rosa, Laura, and my attorney Rachel Cohen, I'd restored Mom's will, splitting the estate equally and sending Olivia to prison. Now, with $350 million and a heart full of grief and purpose, I was ready to build something new. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over ambition. And this was my chance to honor Mom's hidden love and create a legacy that mattered. The inheritance was a weight I hadn't expected. In Asheville, North Carolina, my life had been simple, teaching kids to shape clay, running a pottery workshop that gave them a voice. The money could have changed everything, tempting me to trade my small apartment for luxury, but that wasn't me. Instead, I saw it as a tool, a way to amplify the work Mom had quietly admired. Her video diary, found on the phone, had revealed her pride in my Asheville program, her regret for dismissing my art. The clay bird on her bedside table, a childhood gift she'd kept close, was proof she'd seen me, even when I felt invisible. I wanted to build a legacy that bridged her strength with my heart, something that would outlast the corporate empire she'd forged. I started with the Catherine Harper Arts Fund, endowed with half my inheritance, $175 million. The fund's mission was to bring art education to underserved communities across California, starting with the schools where my Asheville students thrived. I envisioned studios filled with clay, paint, and possibility, places where kids could create without fear of judgment. The first initiative launched in Oakland, equipping public schools with kilns and supplies, hiring local artists as teachers. At the opening ceremony, I watched a shy girl shape her first vase, her smile mirroring the joy I'd felt at her age. "This is for you, Mom," I whispered, feeling her presence in the room's warmth. The fund wasn't just about art, it was about giving kids the tools to dream, something Mom had done for the tech world in her own way. The Palo Alto mansion posed a different challenge. Its 30 rooms, once a cold shrine to Harper Innovations, held memories of Mom's ambition and our fractured family. I couldn't live there, but I couldn't let it stand as a monument to wealth. Inspired by my workshop, I transformed the East Wing into the Catherine Harper Community Arts Center. The grand dining room, where Olivia once plotted her inheritance grab, became a gallery showcasing local artists, painters, sculptors, and ceramicists like me. The center offered free workshops for kids and adults, a space where creativity could heal. Mom's private art collection, hidden in her study, formed the permanent exhibit. It included my own pieces, vases, and sculptures she'd bought anonymously at Asheville galleries. Seeing them displayed, lit by soft gallery lights, brought tears to my eyes. Mom had been my quiet champion, and now her love was a beacon for others. The opening night of the Arts Center was a revelation. The mansion, once silent except for boardroom echoes, buzzed with life. Families wandered the galleries, kids clutched sketch pads, and artists shared stories of their work. Rosa, now retired but serving as the center's honorary advisor, stood beside me, her eyes bright. "Your mother would love this, Miss Emily," she said, squeezing my hand. "You've brought her heart back to this house." I nodded, my throat tight. The center wasn't just a tribute, was a reclamation, turning a place of pain into one of purpose. A small alcove held a memorial to Mom, not her corporate accolades, but personal treasures. Her sketchbook of family moments, the clay bird, a photo of her laughing with Dad. It was the mother few knew. The one I'd found too late but would honor forever. The Harper Innovations shares, my other inheritance, required a different approach. I had no interest in running a tech empire, but I couldn't abandon Mom's creation. Instead, I established a voting trust, placing my shares under the control of a committee of business leaders, educators, and artists who valued ethics and innovation. The trust ensured Harper Innovations remained a force for good, balancing profit with social impact, like funding tech education for underserved youth. It was a compromise that felt right, blending Mom's vision with the values I'd forged in Asheville. At a board meeting in San Francisco, the chair thanked me, noting that Mom would have been proud of the trust's forward-thinking approach. I smiled, thinking of her video diary, her voice calling my work beautiful. Maybe she'd seen this potential in me all along. The emotional journey wasn't over. Processing Mom's death meant facing the void she'd left, but also the gifts she'd given. I returned to Asheville part-time, teaching one ceramics class a semester to stay grounded. My students, unaware of my inheritance, greeted me with hugs and half-finished pots, their chatter a reminder of why I'd chosen this path. One afternoon, a student named Mia showed me a bowl she'd glazed, its colors swirling like a galaxy. "It's for my mom," she said shyly. "She's sick, like yours was." I knelt beside her, my heart full. "She'll love it," I said. "It's a piece of you." That moment, raw and real, was worth more than any fortune. It was the legacy Mom and I were building together, one heart at a time. Olivia's absence lingered, a quiet ache. Her 4-year sentence was a consequence, but I hoped for her redemption. In a letter from prison, she wrote of studying tech startups, planning to build something new upon release. "You were right about creating, not taking," she admitted, a rare glimpse of humility. I wrote back, encouraging her to find her own path, as I had. The mansion, the fund, the trust they were, my answer to her betrayal, proof that love and purpose could outshine greed. I thought of Mom's sketchbook, her clumsy drawings of us as kids, and realized she'd wanted us both to shine, in our own ways. As I stood in the Art Center's gallery, surrounded by art and possibility, I felt Mom's presence, the Titan, but the woman who'd kept my clay bird, who'd sketched our family in stolen moments. The inheritance wasn't the money or the shares. It was her trust in me, her belief that I could build something lasting. I was no longer the forgotten daughter. I was Emily Harper, creator, teacher, and keeper of a legacy that honored both our hearts. Have you ever turned a painful past into a hopeful future? Share your story below. And if you've ever found purpose in honoring someone's love, hit that like button. One chapter remains. Stay with me for the end. The morning sun cast a soft glow over Colma, California, as I stood before my mother's grave, a simple headstone etched with her name, Catherine Harper. It had been a year since her passing, a year since I'd unraveled the betrayal that nearly stole her legacy. I'd left my quiet life in Asheville, North Carolina, where clay and the dreams of my students defined me, to confront a truth hidden in an old phone she'd entrusted to me. Unlocked with Moonbeam, it revealed my sister Olivia's scheme to seize a $700 million inheritance by manipulating Mom's medication. With allies Rosa, Laura, and my attorney Rachel Cohenid, exposed Olivia's fraud, restored Mom's will, and built a new legacy through the Catherine Harper Arts Fund and Community Arts Center in Palo Alto. Now, holding a small ceramic piece I'd crafted, a delicate bowl glazed with blues and greens, I felt the weight of closure and the promise of new beginnings. I'm Emily Harper, the daughter who chose art over ambition, and this was the moment I rebuilt the bridge to Mom's heart. The cemetery was peaceful, its rolling hills dotted with flowers and memories. I knelt by the headstone, placing the bowl gently on the grass. It wasn't just a gift, it was a symbol of the bond we'd forged in her final days, a connection I'd thought lost forever. The phone's revelations, Mom's video diary praising my Asheville workshop, photos of my ceramics, her apology for pushing me away had shown me a mother who loved me, even when her words failed. The clay bird on her bedside table, a clumsy creation from my childhood, had been her quiet confession of pride. "I understand you now, Mom," I said, my voice steady despite the tears. We were more alike than we knew, fighting for what we believed in. It just took us too long to see it. The past year had been a journey of transformation. The Arts Fund had grown, bringing ceramics and painting to schools from Oakland to San Diego, giving kids a voice through art. The Palo Alto Arts Center, carved from the mansion's east wing, was thriving, its galleries filled with local talent and free workshops echoing with laughter. Mom's private collection, including my own vases she'd bought anonymously, drew visitors who saw not just art, but stories of resilience. The Harper Innovations shares, managed by a voting trust, supported ethical tech, balancing Mom's corporate legacy with my values. These weren't just projects, they were a bridge, connecting Mom's strength to the creativity she'd quietly cherished in me. But healing meant more than building. I'd started a podcast, The Hidden Inheritance, sharing stories of family, forgiveness, and finding meaning in unexpected places. Each episode, recorded in my Asheville studio, wove my journey with listeners to Talesa's son rediscovering his dad's journals, a sister mending a decades-old feud. The podcast resonated nationwide, sparking conversations in book clubs and coffee shops, reminding people that small gestures, like a phone or a clay bird, could change everything. One episode, dedicated to Mom, explored her duality, the titan who built Harper Innovations and the woman who'd sketched our family in secret. She taught me that legacy isn't about what you leave, I told my audience, but who you lift up. Messages poured in from teens to retirees, proving that our story wasn't just Minette, it was universal. Olivia's journey was part of the reckoning. Her 4-year sentence for fraud was a consequence, but her letter from prison, arrived just weeks ago, showed a shift. I was wrong to think control was everything. She wrote, her words raw. You built something real with your art, Emily. I'm starting over when I'm released, a small tech project, something mine. Maybe I'm learning from you. It wasn't an apology, but it was growth, a flicker of the sister I'd hoped to know. I wrote back, my note brief but sincere. There's freedom in creating, Olivia. Good luck finding your path. As I folded the letter, I thought of Mom's sketchbook, her drawings of us as kids, and wondered if she'd seen this potential in Olivia, to a chance to rebuild, even after ruin. The anniversary of Mom's death was a turning point, not just for me but for those she'd touched. Back in Asheville, I visited my school, where my students had created a mural for the Arts Funda vibrant tapestry of hands and colors, inspired by Mom's story. Miss Harper, a student named Mia, said, showing me her contribution's tiny clay bird in the mural's corner, "It's for you and your mom." I hugged her, tears blurring my vision. These kids, with their unfiltered hearts, were Mom's legacy too, a reminder that love could outshine even the darkest betrayals. The mural was more than art, it was proof that we'd built something enduring. Together. That evening, I returned to the Palo Alto Arts Center, its gallery aglow for a special Event a Youth exhibit showcasing work from our workshops. Families filled the space. Once a cold dining hall where Olivia had plotted her inheritance grab. Now, it was alive with color and connection. Rosa, the retired housekeeper and now advisor, stood beside me, her smile radiant. "This is what your mother wanted, Miss Emily," she said. "A place for people to come alive." I nodded, my heart full. A small display case held Mom's treasures. Her sketchbook, the clay bird, and the phone. Its scratched screen, a testament to her courage. Visitors paused there, reading the plaque. "In memory of Catherine Harper, whose strength and love inspire us to create." Asterisk. As I walked through the gallery, I spotted a young woman sketching in a corner, her focus reminiscent of my younger self. She looked up, nervous, clutching her pencil. "It's for art school," she said, "but my parents say it's not practical." I smiled, kneeling beside her. "Let me tell you about a mother and daughter who took too long to understand each other," I began. "They found their way in the end, through a phone and a little clay bird. It's never too late to build a bridge." Her eyes widened and I saw a spark of hope. That moment, raw and real, was Mom's final lesson. True wealth lies in authenticity, in creating rather than taking, in standing for what's right, even when it's hard. The phone now sat in my Asheville studio, a quiet reminder of the journey that changed me. It wasn't the $350 million or the restored will that mattered. It was Mom's trust, her love hidden in Moonbeam, and the truth that set us free. I was no longer the forgotten daughter. I was Emily Harper, artist, teacher, and keeper of a legacy that spanned boardrooms and galleries, strength and softness. As I left the cemetery, the ceramic bowl gleaming by Mom's grave, I knew we'd rebuilt our bridge, not just to each other, but to everyone our story touched. Have you ever found meaning in a small gesture that changed everything? Share your story below. And if you've ever rebuilt a bridge you thought was gone, hit that like button. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Let's keep creating together. Emily Harper's journey began in the quiet simplicity of Asheville, North Carolina, where the hum of her pottery wheel and the dreams of her students shaped a life far removed from the glittering empire her mother, Catherine Harper, had built. As the overlooked daughter of the founder of Harper Innovations, a cybersecurity giant, Emily had chosen art over ambition, crafting ceramics and teaching kids to find their voice through clay. Her twin sister, Olivia, was the favored heir, groomed to inherit the Palo Alto-based company and its $700 million fortune. For 12 years, Emily lived apart, estranged from a mother who dismissed her art as a hobby and a sister who thrived in the corporate world. But when Olivia's call summoned her back to Palo Alto with news of Catherine's terminal ovarian cancer, Emily returned, driven by a need to say goodbye. What she found was a betrayal that would redefine her purpose and rebuild a bridge she thought was lost forever. The Harper estate, once a home, had become a cold monument to corporate success, its marble halls echoing with Olivia's plans for an inheritance celebration at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, while Catherine still clung to life. Emily's suspicions grew as Rosa, the longtime housekeeper, revealed Catherine had been asking for her for months, not weeks, as Olivia claimed. Whispers of Olivia's premature redecorating and asset sales, coupled with the discovery of Catherine's secret sketchbook filled with drawings of Emily and Olivia as children, hinted at a mother who'd loved more deeply than she'd shown. The turning point came when Catherine, in a fleeting moment of lucidity, urged Emily to take an old phone from her bedside drawer, whispering, "It's all there. Don't trust them." Unlocked with Moonbeam, Emily's childhood nickname, the phone revealed a shattering truth. Olivia and her lawyer, Gregory Wells, were manipulating Catherine's medication to cloud her mind, rewriting her will to exclude Emily. The phone's contents photos of Emily's ceramics, a video diary of Catherine's regrets, and recordings of Olivia and Wells plotting were a lifeline to a mother Emily thought she'd lost. With allies like Rosa, Laura, Catherine's former assistant, and Rachel Cohen, a San Francisco attorney, Emily uncovered further evidence: a notebook logging Catherine's symptoms, a USB drive with the original will, splitting assets equally, and emails to a private investigator Catherine had hired. As Catherine's health faded, Emily raced against time, confronting Olivia's stonewalling and gathering proof of elder abuse. The climax came at a Harper Innovations board meeting in San Francisco, where Emily presented the phone's damning evidence. Catherine's video, declaring her true wishes, and recordings of Olivia's schemes stunned the board, leading to Olivia's suspension as CEO and the restoration of the original will. Justice followed swiftly. The San Francisco probate court invalidated the fraudulent will, reinstating Emily and Olivia as equal heirs to $350 million each. Dr. Langston, the complicit physician, lost his license, while Olivia and Wells faced charges of fraud and elder abuse. Wells took a plea deal, betraying Olivia, who pleaded guilty and received a 4-year sentence. Emily visited her once, seeking understanding, and found a sister humbled but not broken, planning a new tech venture upon release. In Catherine's final days, Emily sat by her side, their bond mended through shared apologies, and the clay bird Catherine had kept a symbol of her quiet pride. Catherine's death was a profound loss, but it carried a clarity. She'd loved Emily, not for wealth or power, but for her authenticity. Emily's response to her inheritance was a testament to that love. She founded the Catherine Harper Arts Fund, endowing half her fortune to bring art education to underserved California schools, starting in Oakland. The Palo Alto Mansion's East Wing became the Catherine Harper Community Arts Center, a vibrant hub of free workshops and galleries showcasing local talent, including Catherine's secret collection of Emily's work. The Harper Innovations shares were placed in a voting trust, ensuring ethical governance while honoring Emily's values. Back in Asheville, Emily taught part-time, her student's mural featuring a tiny clay bird reflecting the community she'd built. Her podcast, The Hidden Inheritance, shared stories of family and forgiveness, resonating with listeners nationwide. On the anniversary of Catherine's death, Emily placed a ceramic bowl at her grave in Colma, California, whispering gratitude for the bridge they'd rebuilt. Olivia's letter, hinting at growth, and a young artist's sketch at the Arts Center reinforced the lesson. Understanding, even late, could heal. The deepest lesson from Emily's story is that true wealth lies not in money or control, but in authenticity and the courage to honor those we love, even through pain. Emily's journey teaches us that small gestures, a phone, a clay bird, a sketch can carry profound meaning, revealing truths that mend broken bonds. It's about standing for what's right, not for gain, but for connection. Catherine's trust in Emily, hidden in Moonbeam, showed that love persists, even in silence, and that fighting for someone's truth is a legacy in itself. Olivia's fall reminds us that ambition without integrity is hollow, while Emily's Arts Fund and Center prove that creating for others outlasts personal gain. For us today, this lesson applies in every relationship and choice. In a world of social media and success metrics, we're often pressured to chase wealth or status, like Olivia, losing sight of what grounds us. Emily's story urges us to embrace our authentic selves, whether that's art, service, or quiet kindness, and to value the small moments, a note, a call, a shared memory that build bridges with those we love. If you're estranged from family, like Emily was, take a step, a letter, a conversation, or simply listening to their story. At work, prioritize integrity over shortcuts, knowing that trust, like Catherine's, is a legacy worth protecting. Start a project, however small, that reflects your values: a community garden, a mentorship, a journal of gratitude. These acts, like Emily's Arts Center, ripple outward, healing and uniting. Most of all, Emily's story reminds us it's never too late to rebuild. Whether you're 18 or 55, you can mend a rift, honor a loved one's memory, or rediscover your purpose. Keep a moonbeam in your life, a symbol of what matters, and let it guide you through doubt. Share your story, as Emily did on her podcast, because your truth might light someone else's path. Catherine and Emily found each other in the end, proving that love, trust, and authenticity are the bridges that endure. So, what's your clay bird, your small gesture of meaning? Find it, hold it close, and build your legacy, one authentic step at a time. Have you ever found a small moment that changed your perspective? Share your story below. And if Emily's journey inspired you to rebuild a bridge, hit that like button. Thank you for walking this path with me. Let's keep creating together.